hopefully this picks up, but had to max out the gain on the videos in order to get the...
I did listen to, I watched the video and I was just like, there's a little haze noise going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I was like, oh yeah, I probably need to buy a new one.
How Miss Boom Mike's shot, so...
Yes.
We are making do with our little camera's built-in microphone, so meh, there we go. And we're at a weird position here, so now he looks like he's 5. He looks like Godzilla, I look like King Kong. You know, I mean, Godzilla's what, 50 stories tall, and King Kong's what, 50 feet? But it's supposed to be a fair fight, so, hi Happy Campers.
Hello.
And speaking of Hello Happy Campers, did you see the blog yet?
I did see that, yes.
Yes, finally got blog up. It should be showing up somewhere down on the bottom of your screen at some point. It is hellohappycampers.wordpress.com. That will be my blog site. As opposed to actually, you know, kind of talk and do more of these videos because I never get these things out on time. But anyway. So what's going on, Chris? What it is, what it was, what it will be.
What? I like that.
Talk.
Alright, so news.
Newsy
we got
stuff.
some news.
Newsy stuff. What do we got?
So, actually, this is pretty good news. Macaulay Culkin and Brenda Song has had a child. They've been dating for several years now. Now, in case you do not, let me remind you who Macaulay Culkin...
Me, I know who Macaulay Culkin is.
And Brenda Song is. Macaulay Culkin is, of course, best known for his role in Home Alone. You know, the whole, yeah. Brenda Song played the rich, prissy girl in Suit Life with Zack and Cody.
Zack and Cody, yeah.
Is it Sweet Life?
Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, yes. Not the Suit Life in Zack and Cody. It's the
Sweet Life with Zack and Cody?
Zack and Cody.
Okay. And Sweet Life on Deck.
Yeah, she was cute. Yeah.
She was in a few really small movies. But she was always really awesome, though. In real life, she was really cool. So, yeah, they've been dating for a long time, which is a weird match, to be honest. But they welcomed their first kid, their son, named Dakota Song Culkin. Dakota Song Culkin.
That kid is screwed. Don't name your kids Dakota. Never name your kids after a state, okay? Don't do it. You wouldn't name your kid Washington. You wouldn't name your kid Oregon. You wouldn't name your kid Rhode Island. Why in the world would you call your kid Dakota? You can't even pick North or South, for God's sake.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Are they from Dakota? Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe it's a family name.
No, it's just a fad name, and it needs to go away. So. Sorry if there's anybody out there. Sorry if there's anybody out there named Dakota, but not sorry.
Not everybody can be named Spike.
I am a curmudgeon. There we go. Yes, that is an awesome name.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I get stuck with Chris. He gets stuck with a cool name like Spike.
Shame on me.
I don't
you
even
see the way I'm kind of like camouflaging into the new cushions we've got here. Anyway.
He's a chameleon.
This is a 13-year-old office chair that I'm sitting in right now, and he's sitting in a 15-year-old wooden chair, so nothing but the best for the Who What Wear company.
The chair cracks just like me.
At least I can rock. There we go. Yeah.
In other news,
Yes,
Johnny Depp and his divorce.
Well, oh my God, is that still going on?
His legal battles.
Wasn't that supposed to be a limited series? Don't tell me it got renewed.
Well, it's not actually his fault. But Johnny Depp's legal battle with Amber Heard has been going on for quite a while. In case you have missed or been under a rock, Amber Heard came out with allegations saying that Johnny Depp has beaten her. She showed pictures of her face all busted up and everything, claiming that Johnny did it. She was caught in a lie once before during the whole court session, where telephone recordings came out proving that everything that she said did not actually happen. For some reason, this is still going on. Well, apparently last week or so, it happened again where she was caught in a lie. This time, she did this herself. She wanted to request police videos. You know how they have that camera on their chest? To prove something, and when the videos came back, it turned out everything she said was not in the video. Her claims were Johnny was there, the room was a mess, he threw a telephone at her and stuff like that. But instead the video showed the police arriving, Johnny wasn't there, the room was actually clean, and she had no bruises on her face. She literally just buried herself. How long is this going to keep going?
She didn't think they would release the body cam footage, is what it was.
That makes more sense. So, yeah. But yeah, she keeps digging a hole for herself. Believe it or not all men are abusive. Women can be abusive too. So, you know,
so just say it. Get over it.
Just saying.
Just saying. But in related news, at least Amber Heard's still getting a work. It's straight to video, but yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
That's a good one. That was a good one.
Oh my God, we need to bring back World's Dumbest. I know True TV is whatever the heck True TV is now. But we need to bring back a show that's called World's Dumbest. You took a bunch of grade Z celebrities like Todd Bridges and Danny Bonaducci and Tanya Harding and all these other guys, and just let them talk about these idiot criminals that would be caught on video. Now, Court TV is back. It's on broadcast now, of all things. But Court TV, if you can ever manage to talk Warner Brothers into giving up the rights to World's Dumbest because they're not using it. Heaven knows they ran the smoking gun into the ground. There's a reference. But anyway. But yeah, that needs to come back. Especially in today's social media world. That's true. Need it. Go ahead. So what were you saying? Something newsish. Oh yeah, we were talking about Amber Heard's newest direct-to-video.
Yes. Well,
anyway,
that's what happened.
Next.
Felix Silla. I'm going to butcher this last name. Silla. Felix Silla. Felix Silla, best known for his amazing work as Cousin It in the original Addams Family.
Oh, that guy.
Passed away at 84. I figured he definitely deserves to be mentioned. I mean.
Yes, let's mention him.
Yeah, that. Just need to be more hairy though.
That was who needed to do the eulogy at Robin Williams' funeral. We've had have him come out in costume as Cousin It and give the eulogy. That would have been vintage Robin Williams. But anyway, Robin would have approved.
Oh yeah.
Moving on. What else you got?
Snoop Dogg, Jamie Foxx,
Wow. Yeah.
and Scott Adkins will be starring in a vampire movie called Day Shift.
So close, yet so far away. Now they've already got a movie called Night Shift, but
yes.
But that one had, let's see, who was in that one? That was Henry Winkler and who else was in Night Shift?
Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton, that's right. Now imagine remaking Night Shift, but you got Snoop Dogg, you got Jamie Foxx, and they're vampires running the morgue. That would have been hilarious.
A comedy had that. See,
I just pulled this stuff right out of my new cushion, and
that is a great idea.
And it's 10 times awesomer than anything that they're going to come up with, no doubt. Anyway,
that's a wonderful idea.
Jamie Foxx is one of those guys. He's got so much cred in Hollywood. He could sit there and take a dump on film, and they'd want it in 8K high definition. But
The thing that really stood out to this, the fact that his name was on the headline, was Scott Adkins. If you don't know who Scott Adkins is, he is a martial artist who now has became an actor and does a lot of martial art straight-to-video movies, which are really good movies. But he started out as a stuntman. This guy played the Headless Horseman in Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. He's best known as Darth Maul in the Star Wars films. All those that he had the two-bladed thing and did all that and all those flips and stuff. That was all him.
It's better than getting punched in the face every time you show up for work, right?
Yes. He also starred as, is it Toad from the very first X-Men movie, which I think was his first time actually appearing on screen. He was the one with the tongue and got electrocuted on top of, what were they on? Was it the
drugs? Probably. It is Hollywood. It's the mutants.
Well, it was the very first
mutants of Marvel.
It was the first X-Men.
The very first X-Men
ever came out. So yeah.
Now let's stop for a minute and discuss this, because there is a trend here. Mixed martial artists, guys in like UFC and Bellator, and what's the new one that everybody vomited over this past weekend? Trillis? Something like that. Trillis Fight Club or whatever.
Yeah.
Every mixed martial artist, fighter, in these, especially in UFC, cannot wait to get the hell out of that promotion. They want out of that industry so bad they can taste it. Ronda Rousey was one of the more notorious ones, because the UFC fans were getting on her case because she lost her last 2 fights. And then she comes over to the WWE, signs a nice, I'm sure it was a 7-digit paycheck, has like 3 fights in the entire year, which are, scripted and worked out, and your opponent's actually taking care of you instead of trying to punch you in the throat, which is what they do in UFC.
Which is weird, because why would they get mad at Ronda Rousey for losing fights? Because those are real fights, unlike the WWE.
Because there's actually a reason for that. Let's get sidetracked real quick. There's actually a reason for that. UFC, okay, and for those, this is why they don't teach you history, so they can get away with the same crap over and over. UFC is what professional wrestling was 100 years ago. Complete with, if you've ever seen a UFC fight, and if not YouTube it, you'll find a few crappy UFC fights, and they're all crappy, but hey, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, takedowns, the strikes, the holds, the tap outs, the counters, all that stuff is professional wrestling. Yes. They're just not as blatant and open about the fixes as professional wrestling or boxing is. I'm going to get a visit. So, but the reason UFC fans got so upset with Ronda Rousey, because UFC is still under kayfabe, let's say, and professional wrestling is not anymore. Not since Vince McMahon decided he didn't want to lose a court case. But it's that's why they got mad at Ronda Rousey. But Ronda Rousey left, and man, she went public, and she said, "I am so glad I'm out of there, because it is an absolute cesspool." Because you're dealing, remember, just like the WWE, UFC, they don't do drugs anymore, or any less. So that'll get us taken down yet. I'm determined I'm going to get us kicked off YouTube somehow or another. If Salty Cracker can do it, I can do it. But anyway, but like Ronda Rousey, oh my God, Gina Carano, who's another UFC refugee. There's a bunch of them. Matt Riddle's one. I can think there's at least 3 or 4 more others that I should know off the top of my head, and I can't think of their names right now, because if you read the blog, you know why I can't remember so well. But anyway, there are a lot of MMA fighters. Once they get successful enough that they become mainstream and people know who they are, they find the first exit and get the heck out of there. that means I feel really bad for the MMA fighters who aren't good enough to become superstars. They have to stay there and get their teeth kicked in. Yeah, you only have to get your teeth kicked in 4 times a year, if you're lucky. Because if you're not on a pay-per-view, you ain't getting paid in UFC, from what I understand. So,
Wow. Wow.
but if they can get in, they're especially wanting to get into WWE because they already have the skill set, they got the talents, they know all the moves and everything, they just have to learn, they have to be taught how to do it so they don't hurt each other, and to actually have an opponent who takes care of you through a match so you can tell a story. Hey, they're down with that. The whole entirety of UFC pretty much wants to go either WWE, AEW, NWA, or Impact, any of the professional wrestling places so they can get the heck out of there.
You know, idea though, idea.
Mm-hmm.
If it's really that bad, why doesn't one of them or a few of them decide to create an event of their own that goes by their own, you know, in a better way of guidelines?
Because then UFC would destroy them.
Will they though?
UFC,
Maybe.
okay, stop right there. If we're going to get, it's time to get really real, okay?
Oh boy, yeah.
Here's something you got to understand, okay? Kentucky used to be one of the absolute hotbeds in the country for professional wrestling. Not as far as selling tickets, but for developing professional wrestlers. This was one of the top spots. And a lot of that had to do with Jim Cornette. And I've mentioned him on this show before. But Jim Cornette used to own a... He is from Louisville. He was in the wrestling industry for like a decade as a photographer before he even started managing. Jim Cornette, started Smoky Mountain Wrestling like around 1992. Based it out of Knoxville, I think. But the idea was they would go through the Appalachians, the Smoky Mountains parts of Tennessee and Kentucky, but Kentucky was their primary stomping grounds because that was where they had all the best draws. Every state, including the state of Kentucky, has their own athletic commission. Okay?
Right.
Where these promoters go depends on how easily they can work with the athletic commission. Now that athletic commission is there to regulate professional sports in all forms and amateur sports, okay, along the way. Pro sports tends to pay the bills so that they can keep the amateur sports straight.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to things like baseball, basketball, football, soccer, all the team sports, those tend to be pretty easy to regulate because you've got the major leagues have a vested interest in making sure everything is seen as above the board, beyond reproach. Okay? And then you come to professional wrestling and ultimate fighting and all these other guys. Anybody can, to a certain point, anybody can get away and become an outlaw and just throw a shingle out and say, I'm a professional wrestling organization. Okay? You used to be able to do that. The state of Kentucky got so ticked off, not with Jim Cornette. Cornette was doing it right. There was a guy named Ian Rotten who used to be with ECW out of Philadelphia, and he went outlaw and he started running out of Indiana. I don't think he was out of Jeffersonville. I think it was somewhere close to Louisville, though. He was promoting these little garbage wrestling shows all around Louisville and that area, where people were hitting each other with like fluorescent tube lighting and hitting each other with sharp instruments, and the idea was to just crash cans, bloodbaths, in other words. They wanted bloodbaths every time. And the state of Kentucky Athletic Commission got so furious over it that they clamped way, way down hard on professional wrestling. It's part of the reason why Cornette went out of, just closed Smoky Mountain. That and the fact that he had a chance to get out before he was really heavy in debt, which I understand, and the same thing with comic book store. But it's, to this day, it is really, really rare to find a professional wrestling card unless it's a little tiny promotion that's starting up somewhere. They either have to fly under the radar of the athletic commission, or they have to be big enough that they can make certain accommodations for the athletic commission. Now, Kentucky takes theirs a little more seriously than others. Nevada is notorious, their athletic commission is notorious. If you can pay the, quote, fees, end quote, then you can go ahead and pretty much do whatever you want. That's why UFC used to do so much in Vegas, because they paid the proper fees. That's part of the reason why you can't get any competitors up against these things, because first off, you're going to have to cough up a huge amount in fees to these athletic commissions just in order to be allowed to operate and call yourself a fighting organization. And then you actually have to jump through all their hoops that they'll probably turn a blind eye to UFC every once in a while, as long as they don't make a habit of it. But boy, you got to start up. They're going to be watching you like a hawk, especially if UFC doesn't want you there, and they start paying extra fees. For those of you who might be listening to this podcast, I'm doing the air quotes. It's all about the fees, boys. So there's a reason why these UFC guys, plus UFC, I think, is supposed to be valued at somewhere north of $1 billion now. I don't see how they got that, but that's something that's kind of hard to fight. So, just like with WWE, Vince McMahon is now a billionaire, what, 2, 3, 4 times over now? He just signed his latest $1 billion deal with Peacock. And the only person who's really competing on professional wrestling is another billionaire who happens to own Jacksonville Jaguars and a couple of soccer teams in Europe, and doesn't do well with any of them, by the way. But so, yeah, somebody who can afford to pay the, quote, fees can buy their way in very easily. For people who are trying to get in on merit, not so much. So,
Well,
never ask your Uncle Spike a rhetorical question. He will give you a straight answer every time. Go ahead.
one, you should definitely do a wrestling podcast.
There's no reason for me to do a wrestling podcast. Everybody else is doing a wrestling podcast. So, and two, I haven't seen anything in the last, when was the pipe bomb? 2012, 2013?
Oh, enough to actually make you want to talk
I actually want to talk about it. That's the problem.
Good point, good point.
Again, going back to Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette has 2 highly successful podcasts talking about wrestling, and he despises what he's saying right now. And the reason I listen to his podcast is because I agree with him. Anything I would have said, he said, and he made it funnier. And he drops a lot more F-bombs because his wife doesn't care. My beloved, on the other hand, most assuredly does care. Anyway. So that's why there's no competition in UFC yet.
I really have no idea how we transitioned from talking about Snoop Dogg, Jamie Foxx, being
Because
in
their
a
co-star,
vampire movie. And
because their co-star was an MMA fighter. Now, aside from that, does that show you exactly how much interest I have in Snoop Dogg and Jamie Foxx being in a vampire flick?
No.
What was the only thing I said
I will
about Snoop
say-
Dogg and Jamie Foxx being in a vampire flick called Day Shift? They should have remade Night Shift with
I
vampires.
will say, though,
'Cause-
there is...
Wait. Get Sam Raimi to direct a comedy about vampires running a blood bank. With Bruce Campbell as the floor supervisor. There you go. I just give these things away for free. You'll make money.
That is really good
And
stuff.
just release it through Full Moon Video and go, man. Just go.
That means you can do it for cheap.
Yeah.
It is cheap. You can do that for
Cheap.
cheap.
Yeah, you can do it. It's pretty good.
But anyway,
All you need
That's
are
a
some.
good idea.
All you need are some little, some used Ringer's lactate bags that a hospital would throw away, and just fill them with V8 instead. And not even V8. You can go get the cheap watered down tomato juice that you get at Save-A-Lot and pour that in there. That'll work.
well,
Yeah. The best part is you can rip them open, douse somebody with all the quote blood. Here we go with the air quotes again. I just give them away for free, guys. Anyway.
I will say I actually had something that made me come to tears. Actually, there's a video circulating around where it showed, I don't know who these girls are, but they're, I don't know if they're the WE group or what they're from. But these girls got into a match and they started crying. Not sad, but tears of joy because they were actually back in front of a crowd. even after the fight was over, they were just like hugging each other, crying it out because they actually got to get back in the ring in front of an audience and do what they love. And I was like, oh, this is really sweet. This is really cool.
And that's why I don't watch wrestling anymore, because they allowed that to go out on the air. If it's me running that wrestling organization, I'd have pulled those two out, thrown them out on their insufficiently covered butts, burned the footage, and dared anybody in the audience to say squat about it on the media, or I'd sue them into oblivion.
Oh my god! You know what? Let's move on. Let's move on.
Kayfabe, babe.
Jeez. Lord.
There's your T-shirt, kayfabe, babe. Anyway, go ahead. Back onto the real news-ish stuff.
Alfred Molina is
Yeah?
returning as Doc Ock in the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so this broke news over the weekend, but I could have sworn I also talked about this like a few episodes way back, that he was coming back as Doc Ock.
Nobody paid attention to us then.
So, like, I mean, so I was reading this, I'm like, wait a minute, didn't you guys already say he was coming back?
Actually, I
don't
think,
understand.
now if I recall correctly, which I probably don't, it seems to me like we did discuss it a couple of months ago, because there was talk about Into the Spider-Verse 2, and we were talking about how they should get Tobey Maguire back as Spider-Man, and they should bring back Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, and should get all the good stuff back.
Okay, so we did, okay,
We did talk about it, yes.
I was
So
like,
in other words,
is this
we
deja
called it
vu?
again. We did call it again, I do believe.
Okay.
If not, then
I'm
nobody's paying attention to
I'm
us. They
actually
don't care.
completely worried about this because, look, it works sometimes and then sometimes it does not. It's just like the upcoming Flash movie is supposed to have Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, and stuff as Batman coming, and you know, with the Snyder Cut Justice League movie, he put a bunch of nonsense people in there that did not need to be in there, to be honest. Now here we are with this new Spider-Man movie, and we're bringing everybody from different Spider-Man movies into this one, and it's like, are you going to do this the smart way, or are you just doing this because you know people's going to watch this? You know, that's what...
Some questions answer themselves. I have to admit I was very, very impressed with Spider-Verse 1. I guess might as well call it that. I was extremely impressed with it. I didn't think I would like it, but because Sony Animation does not have a very good reputation.
Wait, which Spider-Man are we talking about?
Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, yes.
The animated one with Miles Morales in it.
If you ask anybody who is a huge Spider-Man nut, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse usually comes to be the #1 spot.
It's going to be either #1 or #2. It's a fight between that and Spider-Man 2 with Culkin Molina and Tobey Maguire.
Which did have an awesome storyline.
Yes, which also had an awesome storyline, and shows that, once again, Sam Raimi, if he's not ticked off at you, front office, can do an excellent job shepherding that.
True.
Anyway, now, back to it.
Hollywood Studios has reopened with a sold-out crowd. Like, Hollywood Studios has opened up, and apparently they're doing very well, which is really weird because Disney is having problems. Disneyland apparently had a sold-out everything, except when people arrived, it turns out they couldn't get their crap situated because everything's a mess somehow. So,
Because it's been neglected for a year. Disney was saving all this money not having to operate their little theme park, but they also didn't make any money off of it, so they didn't want to spend any money on maintenance because it's run by a bunch of MBAs. F the MBAs. There's another t-shirt I need to design. EAT the MBAs. Guaranteed, because you're talking about the studio tours, like Universal and Warner and all the others. Those things are just pure gravy. I mean, that's just money making right there because people want to see this stuff. And Disney, for the life of them, can't pull their mouse ears out of their rump long enough
That's the problem.
to do it right. And
I just find it kind of funny, like, Universal's like, yeah, we're doing great now. We opened up the doors. Everybody's here. And Disney's like, oh, yeah, we're going to open up at this time. And people rush there. And it's like, oh, okay, hold on. Let me get somebody.
actually, I heard,
I don't know nothing. Let's get this.
go watch National Lampoon's Vacation sometime. You'll get an idea.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
get an
this is
idea of
exactly
what
it.
Disney's going through. But anyway, what was I going to say?
Somebody take Mickey Mouse hostage instead of we want to ride your rides. Oh, sorry.
Especially if you do it in a Donald Duck voice, because Donald's been gunning for Mickey for years. Anyway, actually Donald hasn't been gunning for Mickey for years. Mickey has been a jealous little B-word when it comes to Donald, because you'll notice he always stands in front of Donald in his little cartoons and stuff that came out not too long ago. He always tried to get front billing and stuff. Everybody was there for Donald Duck, but Mickey was always trying to get them jealous.
Funny.
So
I never actually.
speaking of which, I found out from Scotty of Scott's Comic Relief, currently at 420 East Main Street, Sweetie, Mount Sterling, Kentucky, but we don't know how much longer that'll be. We'll let Scott talk about that over on his Facebook page. He'll give you updates on that. Anyway, I've been ordering some of my older comic
tell me
books
what
and
you ordered.
stuff. The Flash. I ordered The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck by Don Rosa. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, all those, if you've ever read an Uncle Scrooge comic or a Donald Duck comic, odds are it was done by a guy named Carl Barks. Carl Barks was known as the good duck guy. And Don Rosa was this really super talented artist, and he adored Carl Barks. He absolutely adored the Uncle, to the point he knows, just like I worship at Jeff John's feet when it comes to his knowledge of all things DC. That's just what Don Rosa is with Disney stuff, especially the Donald Duck, Uncle Scrooge things. All the stuff you've seen here, all the stuff you saw back in the 80s on DuckTales was Carl Barks. A lot of the stuff you saw in the new DuckTales stuff, a lot of that not directly lifted from Don Rosa's work, but Don Rosa had an influence on it.
So that's why Donald Duck is kin to Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
I thought it was just because they were all ducks. But now I'm thinking, well, that's the wrong thing to say because that's actually kind of racist.
Most ducks are related. It is, because it's a family line, yeah. But
Ew.
so anyway, Don Rosa is super talented. He had a falling out with Disney a few years back basically over royalties and stuff, because he thought he should be paid royalties according to his contract, and Disney said no, and then they've been fighting ever since. But he did a thing called The Life and Times of Uncle Scrooge, Scrooge McDuck, which took years to accomplish. It would appear in this comic book, that comic book, this comic book, that comic book. It could be a few months apart. It could be a couple of weeks apart. It was just whatever Don Rosa felt like doing one. They took all of these stories about Scrooge McDuck's history, put them into one book, and organized them chronologically. Actually, it took 2 books to capture them all. So they've got one that's, I'm waiting on back order for this thing. It is a $60 behemoth. Actually, I think it's a $70 behemoth. No, it's a $60 behemoth, and it's a 2-volume hardcover set. And it's got the entire history of Scrooge McDuck in it, going way back to his shoe shine days in Glasgow as a poor Scottish lad. And it just takes you all the way up to modern time, where you get to see Donald's mother, you get to see Donald's aunt, you get to see Scrooge's parents, you get to see all this stuff, and it all fits into every single one of Carl Barks' stories because it's continuity for him. Don Rosa worships Carl Barks. But they have a new deluxe hardcover coming out this fall. It is 1 volume. It comes with its own slipcase. It is $125. But oh my God, this thing looks gorgeous. And so that's my little bit of story. If anybody out there wants to be kind to your poor Uncle Spike. Please go let Scott at Scott's Comic Relief, 420 East Main Street, Sweetie, in Mount Sterling, Kentucky. For now, Scott will explain. And tell Scott you would like to order that great big deluxe $125 Life and Times of Uncle Scrooge for your poor, poor Uncle Spike. But anyway.
I like how you're saying Uncle Spike, like
Uncle Spike.
You're talking to somebody special out there.
Not necessarily. Although I understand somebody with the initials SM is turning 50 in about, what, 2-3 months. Yeah, you didn't know that, did you? Yeah, I'll turn 50 this year. Yep. July 6th, I turned 50. We're debating what to do. I'm taking a week off for my 50th birthday for my job, so because no way in hell I'm working on it. But 50 years, and the beloved and I are trying to figure out what we're going to do for our 50th. We're talking about maybe, don't hold me to this, renting a pavilion up at Cave Run, having a big old barbecue blowout, and just inviting every relation, friend, and also ran along to come and have fun. On the 6th of July, no, that's...
Yeah, I was like, you better make that reservation like now.
Yeah.
Like, just in case.
But we'll probably do it on like the Saturday following the 6th of July. But that would be, that'd give everybody a chance to come up and just freaking goof off, splash around in the water for a little bit and stuff. So, but y'all are responsible for your own jet ski rentals. But we'll see what actually happens. Don't hold me to that. I don't know whether we're actually going to do that or not. But yes, I do turn 50 this year. And I'm still doing this crap. What the heck? See what you get me into?
Me? Well,
Anyway,
well yeah,
back-
it was me.
Yeah, it was.
It was me.
Back into it. What else
Okay.
you got? Aside from buying me 50th birthday presents. Although, the more of you who are in on it, the less each of you will have to pay. So that's just a pro tip from your Uncle Spike. Anyway, go ahead.
Turner Classic Movies.
UNCA Spike. What? Yes, I like Turner Classic Movies. What about it?
Turner Classic Movies is
Is a good thing, yes.
It's financing a search for Orson Welles' The Magnificent Ambersons,
Uh-oh.
1942. Apparently there is a uncut version of the movie.
Yeah.
And they are looking for it.
If anybody will find it, it'll be TCM, because those guys are freaking awesome.
They're wanting to get their hands on that.
Yeah, I bet they are.
And also, they've been talking about maybe releasing some older films. And I'm not talking about like, your like how we got a cinema in Lexington that shows old movies once in a while. They're actually like worldwide releasing older films.
Mm-hmm.
So that might actually be
a lot
thing.
of new stuff sucks, but go ahead.
That might actually be a thing. But anyway, yeah, apparently they didn't say exactly how much that they're actually putting up for this. But, hell yeah, they might be, what you doing?
Well, go ahead. Just doing a little quick research here.
Oh, he's up to something.
Well, we're talking about TCM wanting to re-release old movies worldwide and globally and stuff. They do that with something called Fathom Events. Fathom Events are the guys who do like the pay-per-views in theaters. They do closed circuit theatrical releases. Like when Riff Tracks will do that a couple of times a year. They'll live riff some movie or something in a theater with a live audience, and they'll just go for it, and you can watch it in the theater with other people at the same time. Here is what they're doing this year. Coming up on April 18th, now bear with me because I'm going to be reading off of this. April 18th, it is La Bamba is coming back. I think that's 35th anniversary, something like that. Fried Green Tomatoes is coming up May 9th. That's their 30th anniversary.
That's a really good movie.
Coming up June 27th, The Birdcage is their 25th anniversary.
That was actually a good movie too.
Coming up July 18th, these are all Sundays, by the way, The African Queen with Humphrey Bogart, and that's their 70th anniversary. Coming up August 15th, it's the 50th anniversary of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the good one with Gene Wilder. Citizen Kane hits on September 19th, that's their 80th anniversary. Silence the Lambs is coming out October 17th, it's their 30th anniversary.
Wow.
Just in time for Thanksgiving, West Side Story and their 60th anniversary. So that's just coming up from what we know so far, coming up this year from Fathom Events and TCM on their big screen classics.
Heck yeah.
And absolutely, if you get a chance to go to any of these, especially the one you really need to reserve is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The one with Gene Wilder, if you can get a chance to experience that widescreen on a big theatrical thing, it will blow you away. But anyway, there is a huge difference between watching it on a big screen at your house and seeing it on the side of a building like you would with 5.1 stereo surround with bass and all this other stuff. It's a good thing. So
That'd be so awesome.
So you want to go to go to DuckDuckGo, go to Google, go to Yahoo, wherever you go. Look for FATHOM, Fathom Events, and TCM. Or you can click on the link that we'll be posting with this video in the description. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Awesome.
So by all means, get out there and enjoy yourselves, y'all. And I have noticed 10th Frame does seem to be doing all right for itself.
Oh yeah, they're getting better now. They got.
Because we just drove by. We're at Castle Manure right now, and we drove by 10th Frame, and their lot's starting to fill back up. I'm glad to see that.
They gotta hire people now.
Good.
Like that, so.
Good job.
So yeah, they're doing real good. We got ideas.
Anyway, go ahead. What else you got?
Okay, so Disney. Disney is making another live action movie based on the evil stepsisters of Cinderella.
Because it works so well with Cruella.
Cruella hasn't even came out yet, but people
Exactly.
already,
That's how it works.
the trailer, everybody's like, what?
Why?
Yeah, exactly. What?
What?
Why?
Why? How? Why?
Like, yeah.
Huh? Why?
It's,
When? Why? What was the
Like
one
a
they
shit
actually... Magnificent?
Magnificent? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that went over like a fart in church, too.
Which actually is weird because I actually liked it. It was actually
Disney
pretty
has
good.
not been doing so hot with their Disney branded live action stuff.
It's almost like they ran out of ideas.
They did run out of ideas.
It's like they just, their minds melted and be like, yeah, we don't know crap no more. And I think it's because it's a new generation of youngsters that are trying to take over all this, but yet they're like, we don't know what we're doing here. You know?
There's a lot of that going on right now. Why do you think I've been harping about storytelling techniques for the last 2 years on this show? And still nobody pays attention to it. Maybe they see it over on their group, but nobody's... You realize I've been on Rumble for what, 6 months? I've been on Rumble for 6 months now as our emergency backup. Not a single viewer on Rumble. Nobody's watching on Rumble.
I've never even heard of Rumble before.
Exactly. So that's still our emergency backup, but I'm just mainly keeping it alive as a place where I can post if I need to, but I'm not uploading new content to it right now. All the new content right now is going on YouTube and Facebook. As soon as one of them blocks us, then I'll go right back up on Rumble and let everybody know on Twitter and wherever else I can get you here, or over on the blog. But anyway.
Or on the blog.
Over on the blog. What else you got?
But yeah, Disney's being a weirdo.
As usual.
So apparently, Amazon has a Lord of the Rings series coming out, and
Go ahead.
yeah. Anyway,
Didn't Peter Jackson do something like that? Didn't he do something like the Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits.
So what the hell are you doing at Amazon? Jeez.
Oh.
It must be nice to have that much money to waste. Anyway.
How much? But anyway, yeah, they are spending $465 million on this project.
The only thing that really upsets me about this dude, I'm not getting a taste of it. There should be some way, I should be taking at least a percentage somewhere. I can sit there and
Get paid for watching shit.
I can sit here and fondle a ring for 3 hours. I'll take care of a couple of episodes for it.
Do you know how many guys penis rings that probably use that line a lot?
So this is for your behalf. Go ahead.
Just saying.
I can't hear you. What?
Okay, so, you know, usually whenever anything that contains the Batman, my ears perk up and I'm like, oh, I'm not really excited about this. There is a Batman spin-off that focuses on Gordon again, and this is before, you know, Gotham and everything. So let me catch you up. There's Gotham, which was actually supposed to be all about Gordon, and then it turned into I don't know what.
The Baby Wayne show. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a spin-off on, I think it's on Showtime, where it's about Alfred in his younger days.
Actually, I think that's on Stars for some reason.
Is it Stars?
I think it's on Stars.
And then, well, no, actually that's about it. Technically,
And
yeah.
Batwoman.
Oh,
Had to bring that up.
I don't even count that crap. But yeah, so now we're getting another show of Gordon in his, I guess, his youth, which is like, why? I don't understand. I mean, why can't we have another just Batman TV show?
Because that would delete the property. They honestly think
Of all the things that
they
they
honestly
have.
think that seeing Batman on a weekly basis would cheapen the property. Now, hold on. Stop and think about this for a minute, okay? Think about this. You had Batman come out in 1989 that rehabbed the entire property, made it a valuable property again. Remember, Batman was a joke up until 1989. Everybody's like, why would they cast Michael Keaton to be Batman? And then they all just gave their left nut so they could keep throwing money at it for, God, how well, it was in theater for 6 months at least before it they finally let it go because the video cassettes were coming out. Yeah, that long ago. And then Fox Kids released Batman the Animated Series, and like
Which people still talk about today.
It was 90 or 91. I think it was 90. I think it may have been 91 because I think I was back at Desert Storm by then. But the first Batman did spectacular. The second Batman Returns.
Yes.
That one did all right. It made a lot of money.
I actually love that one too.
The third Batman, wasn't that Bat Nipple? That one tanked. And you know what they blamed? They can't blame themselves because that would make them look like crap. It'd make them look like they didn't know what they were doing. Obviously, it's because there's a daily show that keeps showing Batman on TV for free every day. So why would anybody pay to watch a movie? And that's why you don't get a weekly Batman show.
That is a total load of bullshit. I'm sorry.
Here, I have an alternative for you. Okay, DC will never sign off on another Batman show, weekly or daily, ever again. They might let the cartoon go if it's on HBO Max and you have to pay for it. But you're not going to get to watch Batman for free anymore. But I have an alternative, okay? What? The video games show this is viable.
Yeah, the video games
do
really well.
Throw Batwoman off the air. Forget Gordon. Pennyworth would be nice, but Pennyworth is a nice idea, but no, you can skip it too because it's on Stars. Nobody watches Stars. Okay, take all the money you were going to spend on that. Go to the CW because no wait, Superman and Lois shows
that's
that
because they
CW
got
can do a
people
good show.
behind
Wait,
it that is-
yes, because you got people behind it like Jeff Johns who knows what he's doing. Put them on at 8 on a Tuesday night. Get rid of the Flash, okay? Or move the Flash somewhere else. Doesn't matter. Superman and Lois at 8. At 9 o'clock, Arkham Asylum. A weekly episodic television show that tells either the story of an inmate at Arkham Asylum or something that's going on at Arkham Asylum or the history of Arkham Asylum. A weekly show, 1 hour, that's good enough for broadcast TV, so it can't be too gory or nasty or anything, about Arkham Asylum. So now, guess what? What Bat villains get regular use?
Joker,
The Joker and who else?
Riddler, Penguin, the main ones.
Joker and
basically.
Catwoman. Do either of them stay in Arkham for very long?
No.
Who does stay? Scarecrow. Penguin usually sticks around for a while.
Two-Face.
Two-Face. Zaz, all these really whack jobs are in there. Tell the story of the supervillains. Okay? And who's the guy who runs it? Jeremiah Arkham, I think, is supposed to be his name, or he was the founder or something. There's a Dr. Arkham in charge of Arkham Asylum. Make it his story. About the guy who has to keep all these idiots locked down. And wait, you can actually, on the first season, just look at Arkham Asylum. At second season, go to Belle Rive, where they keep all the super-powered supervillains. And you get little transfers and stuff going on, so you keep things a little fresh. You put some fresh blood in. Start introducing things. But yeah, focus it on Arkham Asylum, and then just go from there. Tell the lore of the villains. Okay.
I actually really love that idea.
Yeah. Wouldn't you trade all those Bat series for Arkham Asylum?
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's TVMA,
Still want a
which
Batman
would be a
TV
mistake,
show.
but even if you made it TVMA, which would be a mistake, I think, because it's better to, you'll never get as much gore as a person can put into their own head. So TV 14 is the way to go, max. And then, yeah, just do that. Pair that up with Superman and Lois. So at Superman and Lois, you have truth, virtue, and the American way, and all this other stuff. At 8, all things apple pie, and at 9 o'clock, you show the seamy underside of America. With why are all these villains still running around? Because they're all in America. America generates guys like Superman and Batman, and that's great. But they also generate guys like the Joker and Lex Luthor, and that's not so great. So show both sides a single night, and you'll have you'll have the critics creaming themselves, I would guess.
I like that idea. I do. That would be a great idea.
I give them away for free.
I mean, yeah.
And that's why my wall's purple right now, because I can't afford any better paint. Anyway, what else you got?
But I still
you realize we've been at this for 50 minutes.
I got
already?
one more story. Calm down. 15 minutes.
50 minutes.
Better than an hour to be. It usually
By
go.
the time you get through with your last one, it'll be an hour. Go ahead.
Okay. So this last story is actually just something very funny that I thought was really hilarious.
Well, I think it's hilarious.
I think you would. Actually, I think you would. I found it humorous. So,
Is Chick-fil-A closing on Saturdays because the original Sabbath was on Saturday? That would be funny.
ha.
Anyway,
So, anyways, a theater in
Not that
Portland.
yes. A theater in Portland. It's probably burned to the ground by
A
now.
theater in Portland has been showing one movie for the last 54 weeks.
Yeah.
And that is the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Some things cannot be denied. And who would miss anybody who would go to these shows?
That's the thing. It's been showing to an empty theater for 54 weeks.
Because nobody's allowed to go to it. Now,
It's
Portland, you need to
hilarious.
step up your game. I know you're not allowed in the theater with it, but you really need to dress up as the transvestite Frankenfurter and stand outside and just infect each other.
Missed a completely
Missed
opportunity
the
right
opportunity
there.
completely.
They still have those actually.
And the best
every
part
year.
is you would never have to worry about BLM because they would never show up for. Although, wait, I take that back. I think a good part of BLM, let's not forget BLM is like 80% white college guys. They are the primary audience for Rocky Horror, so. That is meta as hell, though. Huh?
Isn't there like a, don't they do a show, like the Rocky Horror Picture Show event every year where people dress up as characters from the movie?
Oh, honey. No. In large cities, they do that every week. It's a weekly it's not a joke. It's a weekly get-together.
They
get
actually
together
do it?
every Friday night.
Oh,
They get together at midnight.
Every year.
Get together every Friday night at midnight. No, you're thinking of the Thriller dance, the zombie dance.
No, I'm not thinking of Thriller.
But
There's actual. I've seen videos of people dressing up and going to this.
And
they
like
watch
I said,
the movie and they sing along and dance.
In larger cities, that happens every frickin' week. It's a weekly occurrence.
Did not know that.
That's a chance to get together, get high, and share their VDs with each other.
Wow.
I bring them up short every single time, which is good because we're almost an hour into the show and we need to wrap this. So, anything to top VDs?
No. All Dutch.
Until next time, man. Spike,
I'm Chris.
this is show, and no VDs here.
This is show.
There's no VDs here. So
Gas crab stuff.
just V for victory, y'all. So, although, yeah, I am a little crappy, so. Still not a PD. Anyway, so we'll see y'all next time. So I can figure out what I did with my remote and where do I turn it off. We should do this like the Mavs we used to do it. Frank, hit the button, Frank. I don't want it. Hit the button, Frank.
Hit the
I don't want it.
buttons.
Hit the button.
Hit
Hit the
the
button.
button.
Hit the button.